Alright, I've had some requests to see my setup. Hopefully my battery lasts. Anyways, alright, I'm assuming that you have some knowledge of hydroponics, so I'm going to make this real quick. So, nutrients, I'm using Master Blend 41838, calcium nitrate 15.500, and magnesium sulfate 10 grams. This is for lettuce. 10 grams, 10 grams, 5 grams. They sell them as a pack on Amazon. I'm sure you can buy them other places as well. Works great. That's what I'm using. Use a kitchen scale, put a plate on there, zero it out, weigh it, dump them in your bucket. I'm using, for now, this is temporary. This is not ideal. You're not going to want to use these for long term. You don't want light getting into your solution. You'll end up with algae issues. Those are black over there, which is what I'm going to switch some of it to. I'm also going to be building a different system altogether. This was temporary, something I started years ago. I had them, I used them, and that's why they're here. They're working for now, but it's not a good long-term solution. I'm going to end up with problems with algae and fungus and all that good stuff if I continue to do this. So, that being said, what I'm doing, so these are cat litter containers that I bought years ago. Wash them all, sterilize them. I spray them with a bleach solution, kill any bacteria, fungus, whatever. Scrub them out, rinse them well, let them air out, fill them up with water. So what you'll do, what I do to make life easy is I measure whatever containers I'm using. I'll get a measuring cup, a large cup, and fill up the different quantities and then make marks on the container so I know what they are. So I can do this fast in the future. So now I know I can just take this bucket. I know where my marks are. If I need a gallon, I need 5 gallons, whatever, I know what it is. Now, these are, the measurements I told you for this are for 5 gallons. So the 10 grams, and 5 grams are to make a 5-gallon solution. If you were to do a 1 gallon, it would be 2 grams, 2 grams, and 1 gram. So however you want to do it, you just adjust it to make it work. All right, so you can see on this one, so this is a taller bucket. This one actually goes to 5. So I use that to mix up my nutrients, and I'll test the pH, get it to where I want it, and then I'll switch out solutions or switch out buckets or whatever, and that's that. So, 2 drill holes. You will need a hole saw. Goes on a standard drill. Do you have to have a corded or a cordless drill? No, you can use any drill as long as it fits inside of there. 3/8 drill will work. I'm using net pots and I'm using pool noodles. I'm using pool noodles for the bigger plants by themselves with no net pot, and for these smaller plants I'll use a net pot and I'll stick the pool noodle in it like that. If you have rock wool, I happen to have some rock wool. I'm not using it. But you can start your seeds in these. They retain water well. Just drop that in the hole. There you go. So it snaps in. 2-inch hole. You need to measure your net pots to make sure that they are actually a little bit bigger than 2-inch. If not, they will fall through the hole. If that's the case, it's not the end of the world. The pool noodle is much bigger than that hole. If you slice it, you can just wrap it around. It will hold without it. Now, I'm using the pool noodle inside of the net cups because it makes it easy to pull the plant if I need to look at it or something or whatever. It just makes it easy. These here, it's more difficult to pull the plant out. They get wedged in there and you see the line cut in there. So they're not going anywhere. It's holding the plant well. But like I said, these all should be dark. I could coat them with something. I could paint the container, whatever. If I keep them in there, then that's what I'll do. But I'm not planning to keep that system anyways because I just want less systems to deal with. Each one of these is its own little world. It's nice in that if something goes wrong on one, it doesn't affect all of them, but it's also more difficult in that now I've got too many I've got too many things that require air hoses and constant monitoring, whereas I could just do one and be done. So these I found work really well. A head of lettuce, I believe, if I'm correct, I may be wrong, requires a gallon of water to grow. These are 27-gallon containers from Home Depot, the HDX. They're located in the paint department, not plug in the Home Depot. I know they sell them at Costco and other places. It's even have on Amazon, wherever you want to get them from, I don't care. This is just what I'm using. What you are going to want to do is make sure they are level. If they're not level, you're going to have uneven nutrient solution, and if the plant does not have long enough roots, won't get solution and will end up dying. So just make sure they have that. So I'm filling these up with 20 gallons of water. What I do, same thing as I did over there on the outside of the container. I put the measurements. I measure in the very corner because the bottoms of these are not flat. So I just measure from the corner to the top, or I'll put in 5 gallons and measure, so it's 2 3/4 inches. 10 gallons comes up to 5 3/4. I just measure how far it is from the bottom up. That way, when I go to fill it up, all I have to do is measure. Now, I'm using 20 gallons, and you can't see it in this one, but just above the nutrient, I made a big scratch mark in there with a nail so that I know where my 20 gallons is. So now I know when I do my nutrient solution where it's at. So you dump in your nutrient solution in the water. Well, actually, let me take that back. Put the water in, measure your TDS, your total dissolved solids, and see what that number is. Mine is 250. That means the minerals that are in your water. Just water, plain water. So this is a clean bucket, just water, and mine is 250. So for the lettuce, I forget exactly where it's at. I believe you want somewhere in the 5 to 800 range. I could be wrong. But anyways, there's charts to look it all up. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what it is. But anyways, so when you do your nutrients, when you mix them up and you dump them into here and you mix everything, you take your total dissolved solids meter, measure it again, and subtract your 250 from your original total dissolved solids that were already in your water, and that's how you come up with your number. It's worked well. These are all growing great. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Now, some people wonder what's the difference between a crack key and a deep water culture. Crack key would be just pour all the stuff in here and you're done, and that's it. Growing inside or growing somewhere that's cool might not be an issue. I'm in Florida, and the temperatures get in the hundreds sometimes, always in the 90s. So anything above 68 degrees in your nutrient temperature, and you start to lose oxygen. So I've got a pump running in the back there. You can use an aquarium pump. Comes over here to a little air manifold, and the lines just go into the side of my container. And put this down without damaging my plants. Here's an air stone. You can buy all this stuff. Either probably go down to PetSmart and grab it, or wherever, or Pet Supermarket, or Amazon, or wherever you need to. But you just need a pump. I have a bigger pump because I'm going to be running a bigger system. That's it. As far as your nutrients go, to lower and raise the pH. So if you want to get in, depending on the plant, there's charts that you can look up. They sell little meters like this that are yellow on Amazon for pH. I found that they're garbage. I haven't found a good one yet. So I go with the good old pH strip. This started as a hobby, so I haven't got into buying, the high quality, high end stuff. The $80 meters and $180 meters, just because I'm not growing commercially. I'm just growing in my backyard. But here's your test strip. You take that, you put it on the back, and you figure out, whichever one it matches, and has your different pH levels. So mine, by the time I drop the nutrients in there with my tap water, I'm right around 5.75 to 6.0 for pH. If you need to adjust it down, make it more acidic, they sell pH down. I have not used this, but I don't see why it wouldn't work, but I've seen people using it. White distilled vinegar. This will act as pH down as well. Now, either one of those that you use, you're only going to want to use a couple of drops and then retest it to see where it's at, because it will change quickly. If you have one of those meters, you probably want to get some of this stuff. It's called the standard reference solution. It's pH 7.0. This is used to calibrate your tester, your meter. If you need to raise your pH, I haven't tried this again, but I heard that you can just use baking soda. This is a base, this will raise it. Anything you use, you're going to want to use very little and see what happens. Retest it. Don't use a lot because it'll change it quickly. If you screw up and make a mistake, this is hydroponics. It's water and fertilizer. Dump it out, rinse off the roots, and make some more solution. That's it. It's not the end of the world. So that's that. What I'm doing is I'm taking these plants and ripping them apart and putting them inside of here. So I'm pre-growing my seeds, and I dump a bunch of them in here too. And as you can see how many plants are in there, but there's a ton. This is lettuce heads. So 2 of these little pots filled all of that up. So that's 23. There's 15 in there. I'm going to drill another 8 holes in there to fill up the center as well if I don't experience any issues with this one, with the crowding. So that's that.